welcome to ASMR Ghost Stories. If you enjoy getting just a little bit scared, all my stories are told in ASMR, soft spoken or whispered. So, welcome, 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 welcome. And before you go ahead and put on your headphones, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Let me know you're enjoying it, and so we can get it out to other people as well. Also hit that notification bell because I do upload twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. So let's go ahead and jump on in to 20 creepy books to read for Halloween. Elevation by Stephen King. Set in the fictional town of Castle Rock, Maine, the latest from legendary master storyteller Stephen King, a riveting, extraordinarily eerie, and moving story about a man whose mysterious affliction brings a small town together. A timely, upbeat tale about finding a common ground despite deep-rooted differences. Although Scott Carey doesn't look any different, he's been steadily losing weight. There are a couple of other odd things, too. He weighs the same in his clothes and out of them, no matter how heavy they are. Scott doesn't want to be poked and prodded. He mostly just wants someone else to know, and he trusts Dr. Bob Ellis. In the small town of Castle Rock, the setting of many of King's most iconic stories, Scott is engaged in a low-grade but escalating battle with the lesbians next door, whose dog regularly drops his business on Scott's lawn. One of the women is friendly, the other cold as ice. Both are trying to launch a new restaurant, but the people of Castle Rock want no part of a gay married couple, and the place is in trouble. When Scott finally understands the prejudices they face, including his own, he tries to help. Unlikely alliances, the annual foot race, and the mystery of Scott's affliction bring out the best in people who have indulged the worst in themselves and others. Vox by Christina Dulcher. Set in a United States in which half the population has been silenced, Vox is the harrowing, unforgettable story of what one woman will do to protect herself and her daughter. On the day the government decrees that women are no longer allowed more than 100 words per day, Dr. Jean McLean is in denial. This can't happen here. Not in America. Not to her. Soon women are not permitted to hold jobs. Girls are not taught to read or write. Females no longer have a voice. Before, the average person spoke 16,000 words each day. But now, women have only 100 to make themselves heard. For herself, her daughter, and every woman silenced, Jean will reclaim her voice. This is just the beginning, not the end. The Witch of Willow Hall by Hester Fox. 2 centuries after the Salem witch trials, there's still one witch left in Massachusetts, but she doesn't even know it. Take this as a warning. If you are not able or willing to control yourself, it will not only be you who suffers the consequences, but those around you as well. New Oldbury, 1821. In the wake of a scandal, the Montrose family and their 3 daughters, Catherine, Lydia, and Emmeline, flee Boston for their new country home, Willow Hall. The estate seems sleepy and idyllic, but a subtle menace creeps into the atmosphere. Remnants of a dark history that called to Lydia and to the youngest, Emmeline. All three daughters will be irrevocably changed by what follows, but none more than Lydia, who must draw on a power she never knew she possessed if she wants to protect those she loves. For Willow Hall's secrets will rise in the end. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. The Rules of Blackheath. Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Then let's begin. Evelyn Hardcastle will die every day until Aidan Bishop can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins again, Aidan wakes up in the body of a different guest, and some of his hosts are more helpful than others. The most inventive debut of the year twists together a mystery of such unexpected creativity it will leave readers guessing until the very last page. I may have to look into that. That sounds quite intriguing. In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt. The eerie, disturbing story of one of our perennial fascinations, witchcraft in colonial America, wrapped up in a lyrical novel of psychological suspense. Once upon a time there was, and there wasn't, a woman who went to the woods. In this horror story set in colonial New England, a law-abiding Puritan woman goes missing. Or perhaps she has fled or abandoned her family. Or perhaps she's been kidnapped and set loose to wander in the dense woods of the north. Alone and possibly lost, she meets another woman in the forest. Then everything changes. On a journey that will take her through dark woods full of almost human wolves, through a deep well wet with the screams of men, and on a living ship made of human bones, our heroine may find that the evil she flees has been inside her all along. In the House in the Dark of the Woods is a novel of psychological horror and suspense told in Laird Hunt's characteristically lyrical prose style. It is the story of a bewitching, a betrayal, a master huntress and her quarry. It is a story of anger, of evil, of hatred, and of redemption. It is the story of a haunting, a story that makes up the bedrock of American mythology, but told in a vivid way you will never forget. The Boy at the Keyhole by Stephen Giles. A dark, creepy, and very compelling story of a 9-year-old boy and his housekeeper, who he begins to suspect of murder. Cornwall, 1961. Samuel's mother has been gone 113 days. Now it's just Samuel and Ruth, the housekeeper, alone in the once great house. 9-year-old Samuel yearns for his mother, but she must have had a good reason to leave in the middle of the night without saying goodbye. Although Samuel receives postcards from his mother in America, he starts to doubt her motives. And when his friend plants a seed of suspicion about strict Ruth, who rules the house with an iron fist, a dangerous idea is born. What if she was responsible for his mother's disappearance? Samuel is soon obsessed with finding answers. Is Ruth the one person in his life who truly cares for him? Or is she a killer with a murderous plan? And will Samuel be able to uncover the truth before it's too late? In the Night Wood by Dale Bailey. In this contemporary fantasy, the grieving biographer of a Victorian fantasist finds himself slipping inexorably into the supernatural world that consumed his subject. Failed father, failed husband, and failed scholar, Charles Hayden hopes to put his life back together with a new project. A biography of Caedmon Hollow, the long-dead author of a legendary Victorian children's book, In the Night Wood, and forebear of his wife, Erin. Deep in mourning from the loss of their young daughter, they pack up their American lives. Erin gives up her legal practice, and the couple settles in Hollow's remote Yorkshire mansion. In the neighboring village, Charles meets a woman he might have loved, a child who could have been his own daughter, and the ghost of a self he hoped to bury. Erin, paralyzed by her grief, immerses herself in pills and painting images of a horned terror in the woods. In the primeval forest surrounding Caedmon Hollow's ancestral home, an ancient power is stirring, a long-forgotten king who haunts the Hayden's dreams. And every morning the fringe of darkling trees presses closer. Soon enough, Charles and Erin will venture into the night wood. Soon enough, they'll learn that the darkness under the trees is but a shadow of the darkness that waits inside us all. Dracul by J.D. Barker and Dacre Stoker. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The prequel to Dracula, inspired by notes and texts left behind by the author of the classic novel, Dracul, is a supernatural thriller that reveals not only Dracula's true origins, but Bram Stoker's, and the tale of the enigmatic woman who connects them. It is 1868, and a 21-year-old Bram Stoker waits in a desolate tower to face an indescribable evil. Armed only with crucifixes, holy water, and a rifle, he prays to survive a single night, the longest of his life. Desperate to record what he has witnessed, Bram scribbles down the events that led him here. A sickly child, Bram spent his early days bedridden in his parents' Dublin home, tended to by his caretaker, a young woman named Ellen Crone. When a string of strange deaths occur in a nearby town, Bram and his sister Matilda detect a pattern of bizarre behavior by Ellen, a mystery that deepens chillingly until Ellen vanishes suddenly from their lives. Years later, Matilda returns from studying in Paris to tell Bram the news that she has seen Ellen, and that the nightmare they've thought long ended is only beginning. Leave No Trace by Mindy Mejia. There is a place in Minnesota with hundreds of miles of glacial lakes and untouched forests called the Boundary Waters. 10 years ago, a man and his son trekked into this wilderness and never returned. Search teams found their campsite ravaged by what looked like a bear. They were presumed dead until a decade later, the son appeared. Discovered while ransacking an outfitter's store, he was violent and uncommunicative and sent to a psychiatric facility. Maya Stark, the assistant language therapist, is charged with making a connection with their high-profile patient. No matter how she tries, however, he refuses to answer questions about his father or the last 10 years of his life. But Maya, who was abandoned by her own mother, has secrets too. And as she's drawn closer to this enigmatic boy, who is no longer a boy, she'll risk everything to reunite him with his father, who has disappeared from the known world. 99 Ways to Die by Ed Lin. In Taipei, Taiwan, the kidnapping of a mainlander billionaire throws national media into a tizzy, not least because of the famous victim's vitriolic anti-immigration politics. Jing Nan has known Peggy Lee, a bullying frenemy who runs her family's huge corporation, since high school. Peggy's father has been kidnapped, and the ransom the kidnappers are demanding is not money but IP, a high-tech memory chip that they want to sell in China. Jing Nan feels sorry for Peggy until she starts blackmailing him into helping out. Peggy is worried the kidnapper's deadline will pass before the police are able to track down the chip. But when the reluctant Jing Nan tries to help, he finds himself deeper and deeper in trouble with some very unsavory characters, the most unsavory of whom might be the victim himself. Melmoth by Sarah Perry. For centuries, the mysterious dark-robed figure has roamed the globe, searching for those whose complicity and cowardice have fed into the rapids of history's darkest waters. And now, in Sarah Perry's breathtaking follow-up to the Essex Serpent, it is heading in our direction. It has been years since Helen Franklin left England. In Prague, working as a translator, she has found a home of sorts, or at least refuge. That changes when her friend Carol discovers a mysterious letter in the library, a strange confession and a curious warning that speaks of Melmoth the Witness, a dark legend found in obscure fairy tales and antique village lore. As such superstition has it, Melmoth travels through the ages, dooming those she persuades to join her to a damnation of timeless, itinerant solitude. To Helen, it all seems the stuff of unenlightened fantasy. But unaware, as she wanders the cobblestone streets, Helen is being watched, and then Carol disappears. Bitter Orange by Claire Fuller. From the attic of Linton's, a dilapidated English country mansion, Frances Jellicoe sees them. Cara first, dark and beautiful, then Peter, striking and serious. The couple is spending the summer of 1969 in the rooms below hers, while Frances is researching the architecture in the surrounding gardens. But she's distracted. Beneath the floorboard in her bathroom, she finds a peephole that gives her access to her neighbors' private lives. To Frances' surprise, Cara and Peter are keen to get to know her. It is the first occasion she has had anybody to call a friend, and before long they are spending every day together, eating lavish dinners, drinking bottle after bottle of wine, smoking cigarettes until the ash piles up on the crumbling furniture. Frances is dazzled. But as the hot summer rolls lazily on, it becomes clear that not everything is right between Cara and Peter. The stories that Cara tells don't quite add up, and as Frances becomes increasingly entangled in the lives of the glamorous, hedonistic couple, the boundaries between truth and lies, right and wrong, begin to blur. Amid the decadence, a small crime brings on a bigger one. a crime so terrible that it will brand their lives forever. I Know You Know by Gilly McMillan. From New York Times best-selling author Gilly McMillan comes the original chilling and twisty mystery about two shocking murder cases 20 years apart and the threads that bind them. 20 years ago, 11-year-olds Charlie Page and Scott Ashby were murdered in the city of Bristol, their bodies dumped near a dog racing track. A man was convicted of the brutal crime, but decades later, questions still linger. For his whole life, filmmaker Cody Swift has been haunted by the deaths of his childhood best friends. The loose ends of the police investigation consume him so much that he decides to return to Bristol in search of answers, hoping to uncover new evidence and to encourage those who may be keeping long-buried secrets to speak up. Cody starts a podcast to record his findings, but there are many people who don't want the case, along with old wounds, reopened so many years after the tragedy, especially Charlie's mother, Jess, who decides to take matters into her own hands. When a long-dead body is found in the same location the boys were left decades before, the disturbing discovery launches another murder investigation. Now Detective John Fletcher, the investigator on the original case, must reopen his dusty files and decide if the two murders are linked. With his career at risk, the clock is ticking and lives are in jeopardy. November Road by Lou Berney. Set against the assassination of JFK, a poignant and evocative crime novel that centers on a desperate cat-and-mouse chase across 1960s America. A story of unexpected connections, daring possibilities, and the hope of second chances from the Edgar Award-winning author of The Long and Faraway Gone. Frank Guitry's luck has finally ran out. Cross Her Heart by Sarah Pinborough. Lisa is living a lie, and everyone is about to find out. Lisa lives for her daughter Ava, her job, and her best friend Marilyn. But when a handsome client shows an interest in her, Lisa starts daydreaming about sharing her life with him too. Maybe she's ready now, maybe she can trust again, maybe it's time to let her terrifying secret past go. But when her daughter rescues a boy from drowning and their pictures are all over the news for everyone to see, Lisa's world explodes. As she finds everything she has built threatened and not knowing who she can trust, it's up to Lisa to face her past in order to save what she holds dear. But someone has been pulling all the strings, and that someone is determined that both Lisa and Ava must suffer. Because long ago, Lisa broke a promise, and some promises aren't meant to be broken. The Winters by Lisa Gabrielle. Inspired by Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, a spellbindingly suspenseful novel set in the moneyed world of the Hamptons, about secrets that refuse to remain buried and consequences that can't be escaped. After whirlwind romance, a young woman returns to the opulent, secluded Long Island mansion of her new fiancé, Max Winter, a wealthy politician and recent widower, and a life of luxury she's never known. But all is not as it appears at the Asherleys' estate. The house is steeped in the memory of Max's beautiful wife, Rebecca, who haunts the young woman's imagination and feeds her uncertainties, while his very alive teenage daughter, Danny, makes her life a living hell. She soon realizes there is no clear place for her in this twisted little family. Max and Danny circle each other like cats, a dynamic that both repels and fascinates her, and he harbors political ambitions with which he will allow no woman, alive or dead, to interfere. As the second-to-be second Mrs. Winter grows more in love with Max and more afraid of Danny, she is drawn deeper into the family's dark secrets, the kind of secrets that could kill her too. The Winters is a riveting story about what happens when a family's ghosts resurface and threaten to upend everything. The Witch Elm by Tara French. Toby is a happy-go-lucky charmer who's dodged a scrape at work and is celebrating with friends when the night takes a turn that will change his life. He surprises two burglars who beat him and leave him for dead. Struggling to recover from his injuries, beginning to understand that he might never be the same man again. He takes refuge at his family's ancestral home to care for his dying Uncle Hugo. Then a skull is found in the trunk of an elm tree in the garden, and as detectives close in, Toby is forced to face the possibility that his past may not be what he's always believed. 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Morardi. Could 10 days at a health resort really change you forever? 9 people gather at a remote health resort. Some are here to lose weight. Some are here to regain a reboot on life. Some are here for reasons they can't even admit to themselves. Amidst all the luxury and pampering, the mindfulness and meditation, they know these 10 days might involve some real work, but none of them could imagine just how challenging the next 10 days are going to be. City of Ash and Red by Ha Young Pyun. Distinguished for his talents as a rat killer, the nameless protagonist of Ha Young Pyun's City of Ash and Red is sent by the extermination company he works for on an extended assignment in C, a country descending into chaos and paranoia, swept by a contagious disease and flooded with trash. No sooner does he disembark than he is whisked away by quarantine officials and detained overnight. Isolated and forgotten, he realizes that he is stranded with no means of contacting the outside world. Still worse, when he finally manages to reach an old friend, he is told that his ex-wife's body was found in his apartment, and he's the prime suspect. Barely managing to escape arrest, he must struggle to survive in the streets of this foreign city, gripped with fear of contamination, and reestablish contact with his company and friends in order to clear his reputation. But as the man's former life slips further and further from his grasp, he looks back on the time with his wife. It becomes clear that he may not quite be who he seems. From the best-selling author of The Whole, City of Ash and Red is an apocalyptic account of the destructive impact of fear and paranoia on people's lives, as well as a haunting novel about a man's loss of himself and humanity. My Sister, the Serial Killer. Oinken Breathwaite. 3 and they label you a serial killer. When Corinne's dinner is interrupted by a distress call from her sister Ayuela, she knows what's expected of her: bleach, rubber gloves, nerves of steel, and a strong stomach. This will be the 3rd boyfriend Ayula's dispatched, and the 3rd mess that her lethal little sibling has left Creed to clear away. She should probably go to the Nigeria police, but she loves her sister, and as they say, family always comes first. Until that is Ayula starts dating the doctor that Creed's long been in love with. Creed isn't prepared to see him wind up with a knife in his back, but to save one would mean sacrificing the other. Well, I have to say, all those books sound really good. I'm going to have to pick a few and start before Halloween. Do you have any good books that are quite frightening? Comment below. And if you have a story of your own, go ahead and comment below, or you can send me an email. Thank you again for listening, and hit that subscribe button and the like button. It helps me know that you are enjoying this, and it gets it out to more people. Also, I upload twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, so go ahead and hit the notification bell. Again, thank you for listening. And remember to stay just a little scared.